Hello and welcome to vlog number 17 of Pokemon Spectrum. It was a doozy today.
Quite.
It was
So much awesome stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Slightly distracted, sorry.
Power. That's just the power of Ember.
I felt that we got a lot of resolution for our two guest characters today. I felt that. So, did we want to talk about that? About Stephen or Annie's arc throughout this session at all? Just out of curiosity.
The Kearney family reveal. Yeah.
They're drug dealers.
Yeah, I set that up because I did not know what Annie would do. Like, would she turn in her own family, or would she, like, where does her loyalties lie?
She
Would
gladly did so.
Gladly did so. Yeah.
It was her favorite parent, though. Out of the
Yeah.
it was her favorite parent that was behind all the stuff. I mean, Matthew was the parent that treated her the best out of the two of them, which
isn't necessarily saying much,
but
yeah,
she still felt connected to him.
Vivian is definitely more ruthless.
Yeah.
I think Matthew is less so. To the core, their beliefs and values are basically the same at their core. It's just Vivienne is a lot more aggressive about it, and Matthew is more. He's more subdued, but like, if you were to ask him his opinion, most of the time he's going to agree with Vivienne, not just because he's a yes man and be like, yes dear. He actually does believe his wife's ideals. It's just he's also a little bit more understanding about his daughters. If the daughters aren't like, if that's not their thing, he's just gonna be like, fine. The daughters are just gonna do what our daughters are gonna do. And I think Vivienne is like trying to pull them back. So.
Yeah.
That was a cool moment for your character. And I felt that you actually had some really cool use of your aura abilities this session too.
Yeah.
The projection was really neat.
I mean, I think the coolest was when you were dealing with that scientist chick.
Stephen, of course, had a really interesting arc. I really thought that it was a good opportunity to put the brain at Prism Labs, so that was really neat to watch the two of the smart people interact.
Did you like the interaction?
I really enjoyed the interrogation. That was really interesting. I was curious to see how Stephen and you would play that out, and I really enjoyed it. It was very gripping.
It was like a battle of the wits.
Yeah. Did you enjoy it, Ronick? I have to ask.
Yes, I did it. It did enjoy it. I wasn't expecting that much of a grilling. It was a little more than I was expecting, because we really don't know what happened to the previous group. We don't really know what happened to them or what happened to their session, so we were pretty much blind about that.
Yeah. They know how that feels too.
I tried not to dwell on those details so much, aside from the fact that they were there, because I assume you knew they were there at least. Was that wrong? Or you guys didn't know? Okay, good.
We really didn't know anything.
And Annie got a little bit of a recap from Charlie on some little itty-bitty things.
Oh yeah, she exchanged emails with this Benoit girl. She seemed really nice.
Proceeds to look her up. Is she pretty? Maybe she could be Charlie's second girlfriend. Oh, jeez.
Although we did get naked chase chess time today, so welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well.
First time she ever did scarification on somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering when I was going to get the chance to get a tattoo because I was waiting for Annie's character to join the session. I was like, I don't know how long I can push this off, so I'm going to start cutting it into my chest. I mean, I don't want to deal with Annie.
And she touched it up, so we're good. We're good.
Another thing that would have probably happened if Annie was in the previous guest spot, he wouldn't have done that probably.
Oh, no, he wouldn't have. No, he would not.
The choices matter.
You don't know what he did or how that happened, but
Yeah.
we'll let you catch up.
It was for perfectly sane reasons.
It
By
was.
Chase standards.
It was acting.
I'd go back to being Chase again after being EM last session.
Mm.
It's the most sane that he's ever been.
The scene with young Cassie was adorable. It was it showcased the more of child Annie, which
Yeah.
I have so many
Fittingly.
anecdotes still about.
No, I enjoyed that. I thought it was fun. Certainly not what I expected going into this session.
I like the detail that besides Annie and her sister, that Cassie was the first person who actually witnessed Annie's manifest her powers. So
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And Nevi was too young to remember when my other powers manifested. She was like a toddler.
Which is, yeah, probably for the best.
Yeah.
Going back to Steven,
Yeah.
your conversation with your sister Alicia. Did you see that coming? Did you see that reveal coming?
I feel like there was something about our parents, but Team Galactic? No. I wasn't expecting that.
Do you think your parents were? Because I mean, we were joking a little bit because Ronick had just said earlier, "Oh, what is it with people and their terrible parents, their awful parents?"
Yeah.
So,
Look at the club. We meet on Tuesdays, bring a pie.
so I think that your parents were not evil people, but I think they definitely were involved in white collar crime. Because they weren't doing anything like a terrorist group in the terms of that they were going around shooting people or like, they weren't putting themselves in any like danger, like life-threatening danger, but they were selling secrets for Team Galactic. So,
Yeah, Steven doesn't really. That didn't really affect how he views his parents. It's well known what kind of past he has had in a different universe. He kind of understands that not everyone in some kind of organization are evil or bad people, and seeing how they were going to resign. That how they were going to resign doesn't really. That just adds to that they weren't bad people.
I
It's
should
just so
also.
hard leaving those organizations.
It is.
Exactly.
I also want to point out, Ronick, which gods again did your parents worship? Which two gods?
Yeah, I know. Dialga and Palkia. So yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
they worship
I know.
Dalgia and Palkia. Yeah.
Yeah, I have played. I had to play through Pearl. I know what kind of things Galactic does.
Yeah.
It's the only generation I haven't played through.
Okay. I haven't played it
That was
either.
my first Pokemon generation I actually played.
Oh, see, I didn't have a DS at the time, so I just missed that like hype train. But anyway,
Did anyone genuinely think that Jefferson was involved in what was happening? None of you thought he was involved. You thought it was a red herring. All of you thought it was a red herring. Okay.
oh no,
Well, that's no.
Character.
I thought it was more of a like involvement,
Go
but
ahead.
with different intentions. I mean, like from my perspective and from Cassie's perspective, like Pokerus isn't inherently bad. Maybe it's portrayed as inherently bad in this universe, but like in the games, it's not. I mean, even in this
Yeah.
universe, if it makes the Pokemon in pain,
Sick.
like that's not good. But you could relate it to chickenpox, where some people will spread it
Right.
specifically so they can't catch it again because Pokerus can only be caught once. And so I could see a breeder or someone who's like doing contest stuff, why they might try to do that, even if it is misguided, maybe. And so
Yeah.
I didn't think that he was evil in like his distributions, but yeah, I trusted Steven's vision.
Okay.
Yeah. So Steven did have doubts about that. He really wasn't sure about the newspaper if the news were correct about that. Just finding out who that distributed that virus, finding out Steven really wasn't sure if that was person.
Well, yeah, because it was just just the narrative that he saw.
Yeah. He never came across someone who was sketch either. Back in the contest, it's more like he was probably getting played by someone, which is ultimately why Chase wanted the name of the person he was meeting inside. Like there was a
I mean, yeah, pretty much the only way a lot of us knew Jefferson was that he was a cheater during the contest.
Yeah, he was.
Little different, but
it seems though that Jefferson had no idea this was happening under his roof.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why Miriam was supposed to distract him, apparently. Keep him away from the house so he didn't know what was going on.
now I just feel bad Tiffany and Chase didn't crash the party. Darn it, Chase, why did you drag her away?
Hopefully it was a little bit interesting now in context, now that you've gotten the entire session under your belt, the fact that Dimitri was the one who Steven had the vision with, and that Dimitri's Scales Pokemon, who was evolved at the time, was the one leading them into this through this post-apocalyptic thing, especially when you consider that Dimitri inadvertently was part of the cause of that world.
I think Steve really take more notes about the persons he is at those visions now.
So to give a little bit of behind the scenes, I wanted to mention this as well. So back when I was asking for people to vote on the campaign, when Pokemon was chosen, The Walking Dead was the second choice. So it was the second most highest vote. So I was debating, when I was designing the story, I was debating a Walking Dead Pokemon campaign. A post-apocalyptic zombie. And I was thinking about, what if the Pokerus mutated and turned into a strain virus that basically turned the Pokemon to undead, and they were terrorizing people. And then if a Pokemon gets bitten by a yes, go ahead.
I was gonna say then, was the P virus actually a reference to Resident Evil?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Cool. I thought that was an accident.
No, it was definitely also reference. Yes.
That's cool. Okay.
So so I was debating that, but in the end I decided to table that idea for the time being. But then I was able to use it for this Halloween session, because I thought it was fitting. In December.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes,
Perfect.
Exactly.
And through Steven, you did get to traumatize Cassie a little bit, so well done.
I did.
Sorry about that.
Hashtags.
Because Steven chose Cassie because Cassie was the only person he who was only person who knew about Steven's ability beforehand, and he really didn't think it would be good for use for the others in his group for testing reasons. He wanted to test it someone who actually
in case they'd like explode or something.
Well, Steven does trust you.
Yeah, of all the characters, he reached out to you. He could have reached out to Cynthia. He could.
Please don't. Yeah, no, I'm glad he did. Honestly, I think it was good for Cassie to see that stuff. Well, I mean, maybe not good for her, but good for me as a player. So,
another thing that I thought was great was the order of the church scene with the Nevi phone call was almost as if it was like on purpose. Even though it's like the church thing with like sometimes about sort of like loving yourself, and then having the next scene having Annie calling Nevi being like, "Do you hate me?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted that phone to do that phone call since like session 0. So, or have that conversation at some point. So, ooh.
I like the fact that you brought up the Dimitri and his Jangmo. They were at the church service. It's like actually, as during Steven's first vision with them, cats falling down. during Steven's first vision with the Dimitri and Scales as a Hakmo, the first thing I thought of was Pokerus kid from session 1, but I didn't say anything because I said, we'll see what happens, and yep. But I liked how the church scene played out. It didn't go the way I was expecting, but it was still really good.
What were you expecting?
I was expecting that Molly would go off by herself to pray to a shrine by herself, but yeah.
I think what was going on with Dimitri was distracting. It was a little too distracting, probably.
Yeah.
One little thought about the Cassie and Nevi thing. Sort of just a little thought that I had. In my head, one of the sort of headcanons that I had for Nevi that I came up with earlier in the campaign was that Nevi would have been like pining after Cassie for like years, but never really said anything. I'm not sure if that aligns with what you were thinking, or whether it was more a recent thing.
It honestly doesn't matter to me. So if you want to say that Nevi had been pining for Pine this entire time, then sure, I have no problem with that. And she was just too cool to say anything, or too.
Of course.
I'm doubly happy Tiff shoved them at each other.
Yes, good work.
Yay.
Speaking of shipping, so Chase, it looks like some doors. It looks like one door kind of shut and another one open today.
Cassie's standing in front of that open door.
So I asked prior to this, like a while ago, I asked Ronick, would Steven have made a move? Like, would he have said anything to Madison? And he said that. What was it that you said to me, Steve?
He would have done. I said he would have done it, but it would have taken time for him to pull up the courage to do so.
Right. So by this point, he sort of like asked Madison out, sort of, and so now they're actually going on apparently their own first official date tomorrow. So,
yeah, for them.
So now that happens, like, well, we got to open up another door for Chase. So Mama
chooses
Pine.
what door he opens, when he opens it, and he doesn't care who's in the way. So.
Mama Pine she looks good. I mean, and she makes very good food.
The conversation. He knows where they're eating.
You'll never go hungry. You'll never go hungry again.
Go get the food as well.
This could be very interesting moving forward then.
So how would Cassie feel
Just
if
call me Dad.
Chase
Cassie,
actually
just
hooked
call me-
up with her mom?
Funny thing, Chase would fall off a building somehow. He should have been more careful.
Noir's apartment, he can survive 7 stories.
You're
It was
4-story
17
drop, so come on, it'll be fine.
Yeah, I have to admit, when I started this campaign, I never thought that one of the characters would actually like semi-shack up with somebody's mom. So never thought that would happen. But
Maybe she was safer with the rockets.
yes. Maybe we should do a little bit more of that brainwashing. Maybe a little bit.
Maybe we could like undo the brainwashing like straight away. Like
He's gonna make sure you don't for as long as possible. He's gonna be living with her for a while just to get her food. I mean, let's start with that, and then
Red as well. She might ask me to go home eventually.
Chase seems to have a thing for older ladies. You know, we've got Felicity he likes to hang out with. We've got Cynthia he likes to hang out with. So he had a thing for Vivian. He was looking at Vivienne.
The court trial goes.
now she's just a crook.
Yeah. Yeah, Cynthia's wholesome. She's a wholesome lady.
Exactly. Tiffany would
She's
help.
experienced.
Who she never got a chance to be. That's all. Chase is just trying to help.
Exactly.
I actually went through a whole several minutes where I could not stop laughing at the image of Cynthia being so dolled up, and then Tiffany taking a picture of her and sending it to Cassie. Watch the recording. There's like a few minutes where I just can't stop laughing.
No, yeah, it's probably better that she did receive the picture instead of first seeing her in person. She got to process it a little bit on the way back, you know.
Also, Cassie not a Twilight fan. Who knew?
What? Go figure.
She's an intellectual.
That's right.